have, so on our planned agenda this evening is to consider deliberations for our candidate for our new city administrator position. We do not have open forum on the agenda this evening. However, I'm happy to open the mic to anybody that would like to speak in an open forum session. We'll provide that opportunity if there is anyone that would like to speak in open forum before we bring discussion back to council. And not seeing anyone step forward. Jolene, are we online? Okay, very good. With that, I'm going to toss it over to Bart, and Bart, the floor is yours.
Sure. You're going to toss it to me real quick?
Yes.
Sure, Amanda.
Tallying up the scores.
Yes. So just to recap where we have been, obviously we had the interviews all day long, and then Bart asked council to provide him with their top 1 and top 2 choices, if they had a top 2 choice. And so we're just going to go through those. I think we're going to try to put them up on the screen so you can just sort of see what the, I think I'm visual. Maybe if you're visual, it's helpful to just see what it is. So you'll see, we'll go through top choices first, and then we'll go through second choice unless council wants to do it differently. Does that work?
I think that's great.
Okay, so we have 1 vote for Joe Ga. Yeah, sure.
Mayor, sorry
Yes.
not to interrupt really quick. I just wanted to make one point. One of you only chose one person. They had just a top 1, just so you know. So that's why the votes will come out uneven.
Oh. Fine. So if you have a piece of paper in front of you, if you want to, you can write GAA and he is 1. So Joe Ga has 1 vote for the top choice. Then we have Joe Ga has a second for top choice. Joe Ga has a 3rd vote for top choice. Joe Ga, has a 4th vote for the top choice. And then we have 1 vote for Christina Hahn for the first choice. Sorry, I'm just writing this down. So I will pause here for 1 second. Obviously, Christina is not a part of the process. So the first question is, does council want to look at her along with these additional candidates, or do they want to consider her separately, or how would they like Christina to be considered with the candidate pool that you have right now?
Council, I'm open to feedback, thoughts?
She actually pulled out of the race and even put it in the paper that she wasn't going to run. It wasn't a good fit for her. That was in the paper. Also, there was some paperwork that she didn't fill out like everybody else did. And so I wasn't ever going to consider her for that. It's just my vote, 1 vote for that reason.
Any other perspectives?
Yeah, I can appreciate Councilmember Husnick's points on that. I think he's accurate in terms of the process. At the same time, counterpoint would be that she's been on the job, doing the work. And so I think from that standpoint, I would advocate that we at least let her, be a part of the conversation.
Other points of perspective?
So I would agree. I think we were a little concerned from the beginning about this candidate pool. We were all, I think, in agreement of that. We did find, I think it does, and department heads came forward with 1 person, which I think we seem like we might be in agreement with that. But to rule out someone that's been working here for 6 months, hit the ground running, has not just kept the lights on for the city, but has continued to move things forward, working out and having hard conversations on difficult situations, I think we would be foolish not to at least consider her as top two.
Councilmember Valento, anything to add?
I guess I'm not torn one way or the other, only because Joe has 4.
I think we should consider all options on the table, and all options on the table is always what is our current candidate pool, as well as what might not be our current candidate pool. And so I'm open to having her part of this conversation. However, I do feel that just based on the results I've seen so far, I think it's a little bit of a moot point. But I think we should all be working towards making the best decision, and I have respect for everyone's opinions up here. So if there is some discussion points that we should have on Christina as a candidate, I think we should certainly entertain the discussion. But again, based on what I've just seen, it might not be a significant point. I will also just be fully transparent. I hope we're also going to look at the number 2
Yep.
votes. And Christina was my number 2, so I very much am in favor of that consideration, but let's see number 2.
Okay, so segueing to the second choice, one person did not provide a second choice, so just, there'll be 4 for this one. This person had Joe for number 1 and Christina for number 2. This person had Joe for number 1 and Tariq for number 2. This person had Joe for number 1 and Christina for number 2. This person had Christina for number 1 and Joe for number 2. So just from a numbers perspective, Joe has 4 first choice votes and 1 second choice vote. Christina has 1 first choice vote and 2 second choice votes, and Tariq has 1 second choice vote. So those are the choices that you've made. One thing I do want to just make clear is, as of right now, I do not know if Christina is interested in this position, because as Councilmember Husnick did mention, she did pull her name from consideration. So if there is an interest in pursuing her as a candidate, obviously she would need to weigh in on that, and be allowed to either say yes, she'd be willing to reconsider, or no, she is maintaining her position of not being interested.
Art, go ahead.
Mayor, council members, just one other point of, I guess, order here. As far as DDA and we are concerned, there is a 2-year guarantee as part of our process that would be in place with any candidate that has gone through our process. That would not be in place with any candidate that has not gone through our process. Just a point of clarification.
So at this point, I think it makes sense for there to be council discussion and/or, it doesn't look like we have anybody else from the public here in terms of open mic night. In just discussing, there's really 3 candidates that you have on the board right now. You have Joe Guy, you have Christina Hond, and then you do have Tariq with 1 second choice vote.
Council, what are we thought, any thoughts that maybe haven't already been said, or comments?
So what I'd like to see at this point is that table this until Monday evening. We have the conversation with Christina Hant to see if she is interested in the position, and then circle back on Monday and make a final decision. It allows some extra time to, what I'd like to do is a little bit more of a deep dive on Mr. Gah. I think he could be a viable candidate. Obviously, he was my number 2. And so I just think that more time would allow us more time to explore a little bit more and do a deeper dive. This is a big decision. We just met these individuals for the first time a number of hours ago. In the private sector, you have second interviews, you have time. So the idea of making this decision, I'm just not comfortable making that this evening.
As I hear that, I'm fully respectful of, let's take the time that's needed to make the right decision. I have a little bit of a hesitancy of opening up the pool, of having that conversation. I mean, here we are in a public meeting having the conversation, but extending the invitation to Christina at this point, given just where we are, just, it seems that we're sitting with the majority of the votes already sitting with Joe, it seems, it, it seems like Christina's not the primary choice, and so I'm not sure. I guess maybe my question would be, what happens next? So we have the conversation, Christina, are you interested? Then what would we do next with that? Is it, what does that look like?
Well, I mean, if she's is interested, then you try to do a vote on Monday at the council.
And so would you be looking for then, so would the instruction be that attorney or Bart reach out, confirm a level of interest, just bring that information back to council for our consideration on Monday? Is that?
I think so. I mean, the fact that, she has a number of votes here. We've seen her in action.
Correct.
Not perfect. No one is perfect. EDA member made a comment this evening about, looking strongly at her. So I know other public people have reached out to me and said, you might have the right person in the seat right now. So
I guess, do you feel that the only missing piece of information is knowing whether she's interested in the role? And if she is interested in the role, I guess I just want to make sure that we're walking into Monday with enough information to be able to make a decision. Or if there's something else that's needed, I'd like to identify that, just so we're kind of clear on what that next step is.
from her or just in general?
Yeah, if we're going to consider that, because sounds like there's a suggestion for a follow-up. And so if we're going to have that follow-up, if the confirmation is, yes, I'm open to being considered, is that enough? There hasn't been a community interview. Council, we haven't interviewed, but I personally don't feel like I need to. I just want to make sure that there's kind of a clear sequence and what that looks like.
I guess I got to ask, what's the point of this whole process? Whole process, after she declared she'd pulled out. Now we're going to go back? I don't get it.
Well, I think, as this thing through, speaking of the process, I mean, we been in the seat for 6 months, so from a community interview standpoint, I mean, I think we've probably all gotten a lot of communication that, high level of appreciation. We all step back from the fast track because we recognize that it's, this next decision is a big one. And we wanted to have a comparative pool, to my recollection, which I feel like that's what this process has given us, is that comparative pool. In my mind, I guess it didn't necessarily rule her out because she's been doing the job. And that's why she was on my slip as well. And so I don't think it hurts us to take the time just to confirm one way or the other. I mean, if we ask Amanda to follow up with her and she's just an absolute hard no, well, that makes it really, really simple. But if that's not the case, then it merits discussion.
Thank you for all of this discussion. I think it is important to kind of put on the public record. We did hear feedback back from both our department heads as well as the community panel. The department head panel recognized Joga as their primary candidate and felt strongly enough that the second candidate wasn't necessarily identified. And then the community panel had identified Tarek as a top candidate with both Devin Swanberg and Joe as their second candidates. As I walked in before hearing, and then we did also hear from a member of our EDA and who led the community panel. Personally, he had also represented and indicated some support for Christina in that role. As I walked into this discussion and into this consideration, that overwhelming feedback for Joe and that, not unanimous, but virtually, we've got all of our identified people in the room identifying the same person, maybe in different ranks, but that one person has risen up across the board. To me, that speaks volumes, and I'm open to considering Christina if she's interested on Monday, as a point of reference, but I just want to be transparent. I'm not sure it changes my mind, given the level of consensus that we've seen. And I guess I'm just compelled to say those words out loud, that we've had that, we have a candidate who has risen to the top. I want to give this decision time, and certainly people can, make some additional conversations and have some additional time to consider, but we are at a much tighter consensus than what I was expecting walking into this decision. And although I put Christina as a number 2, to me, there's a greater distance between my number 1 and my number 2, just because of what I've heard tonight. And so just want to be transparent on my thought process, and also kind of indicate how I'm seeing that seems like we do have some consensus. So. Points of
So,
feedback?
just on Mr. Gah, again, I think he's a qualified candidate. 4 months at a previous job and it wasn't the right fit, that's concerning. I confirmed with the mayor down there, that was his term, it wasn't the right fit. This needs to be the right fit. So to take the time to make sure this is the right fit is important. The department heads had concerns about Mr. Swanberg, who would have to relearn some of the state codes and different statutes from when he used to work in Minnesota. Then he was in Wisconsin just for 18 months, and that concern, but didn't seem to be concern about Mr. Gah coming from Iowa, who's never been in Minnesota. So that, that seems a little odd. I mean, so if we're worried about one candidate about that, who actually worked in Minnesota, and now we're not worried about Mr. Gah, that just doesn't.
Does anyone see a need to meet tomorrow? We do have a meeting on the calendar for 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm happy to keep that if there's a need for it. Sounds like there is some desire to extend until Monday, and I'm happy to support that as well.
Yeah, given that we're already scheduled to meet on Monday, I guess I'd prefer to just wrap it up into that, if that's.
That's fine with me, I don't care.
We had an opportunity for some discussion today, and I said the words then, and I'll say them again out loud today, that I would ask that if we are gathering information, and I suspect we will all spend some time on the Googles and doing some things over the weekend, that information, let's share that as a full council in our meeting on Monday. I think that it's important that whatever information is learned is known by everybody, especially if we're at this point of making a decision. So I would just ask for that kind of professional respect to the process.
Can I ask a point of clarification? So I work with Christina almost every day. I'm talking with Christina, and certainly, she and I have had personal conversations around whether or not she would consider being here permanently. I have enjoyed working with her. I guess what I'm looking for from council is, do you want a definitive yes, she is interested in the position right now, or she may consider the position in the future? And the reason that I'm asking that question, and I have asked her if it would be okay, if I shared this information, so I'm not sharing something that I shouldn't be sharing, but it has sounded like in the past when we've talked about it, she's kind of said it, maybe later on, but she wouldn't be interested in entertaining permanent employment with Forest Lake right now. When I speak with her, which I'm assuming is what you want me to do between now and Monday, what exactly do you want? I will try to pin her down on an answer, but what do you want what information do you want? And frankly, she'll be here Monday night. You can ask her yourself, and maybe that's easier. But I'd like to be able to, get you the information as soon as I can, so you have that information. But what specifically do you want me to ask her?
Thank you for teasing that out, because she is currently serving in an interim role, and conceivably, there's a number of ways that she could continue to serve. At risk of just jumping ahead with my opinion, I'm going to just jump ahead with my opinion, and I invite disagreement. Because we have a candidate that has a fair amount of consensus that is available literally to start as soon as we make a decision, I think, from my perspective, I would be looking for a permanent position. I'm not interested in continuing into an interim role or a longer interim role. We have an opportunity now to, with a qualified candidate that has consensus, enter into a permanent position. We absolutely need this position to be filled permanently as soon as possible. If we would have walked in today with that door being a little fuzzy, I would have been open to a longer-term interim position with Christina, just again, because I think she's doing a good job in that role. But to me, based on what's transpired today, we have an opportunity for permanent, literally almost on Monday, if we were to make that decision, and I think we should.
I would agree. She needs to, commit to that, a permanent position.
Okay, so it would be within the next 15, right. Oh, well, she's ours, so it's not like she has to give us notice to continue to work for us. So it would be the same. Okay, that is incredibly helpful.
Are we giving Amanda direction to have this conversation and to bring back information to council for Monday? I feel like we are. I just want us to have consensus. And certainly, Amanda, I want you to feel like you have clear direction from us.
Yeah, I mean, we want to find out if she is, we get to that point, if she is, idea of immediate permit. Right, that's what we just, possible
To talk with her? Oh, I'm going to be calling her in 10 minutes. Let's be real. So I don't know if she's going to pick up her phone, but, I'll be texting her shortly. In terms of additional information that you would want from Christina, do you want her compensation and all of those sorts of that information? Because that was initially part of the conversation with her when it was, when council moved to the sort of shortened version. There was a couple different factors that were going on. One of them was her discomfort with the release form that DDA was requiring her to sign. The second was that it appeared council and Christina were not together on compensation. So I'm wondering if it's more than just she would need to say, yes, she could start permanently now. Do you also want to know what her asks are?
I don't need that now because we're not asking Mr. Goff for that at this point.
Well, but Mr. God knows what our
but there is
stated
a
range
range.
is. Mr. God knows the range for the role that he's interviewed for. We need it sooner rather than later. Personally, yes. They negotiated number. I don't want to sit in a public meeting and start to negotiate that number, but I feel like we at least need a baseline. Because again, other candidates already have the baseline given the advertised range. So maybe with that
Conversely,
same
it could
level
be,
of certainty, right?
and conversely, it can be simply that, I can relate to her. The compensation is what we had talked about prior. It is what is advertised. There isn't some sort of different compensation for her. I mean, I can go either way, right? I can ask her for hers, or I can say, by the way, if this changes your answer, the compensation is what is advertised.
I think both is true. I think she knows our advertised range, and it would be good to know sooner rather than later if she's amenable to that. And that information is going to come back. Again, I don't want in this meeting to get into the negotiation of that.
Mayor, one other point of clarification, and I guess, Amanda, I don't want to jump to this next thing if you need a little more information. So-
No, if there, well, are you asking for more information that I should be gathering?
No.
Oh,
no.
okay.
So it's clear to me, I just want to make sure that I'm doing the right thing tonight, because I did say that I would contact the candidates tonight. So it's clear to me that at least for sure, 4 of them, I'm basically saying, thank you very much for your time, but not, we're not a chosen person. And then we have Tarek, who is kind of on the bubble, you might say, and then you have Joe. So what should my message be to Tarek? Does he fall into the group that's the no? And then, I mean, Joe, I can just say that, there'll be a decision on Monday, so.
This is a broadcast meeting. The information, I guess I would be hesitant to jump to a conclusion beyond where we are tonight. And where we are tonight is, we have a candidate that participated today. We have 2 candidates that participated today that ranked in the 1 and 2. And we have invited our current administrator we're going to have a conversation if there is a desire to be considered. And then council will reconvene on this topic on Monday. I'm really uncomfortable with telling any candidate that they are not further considered, because to me, this isn't done until it's done. And I'm not trying to, slip in another candidate, but we're not done until we're done. So let's not conclude until we're concluded.
I would agree. I don't know why the direction would have been to tell them tonight when we already had a meeting scheduled for Friday, and we've talked about maybe continuing this till Monday. So I don't know why that expectation was set.
You can certainly give them an update on what has happened tonight, but let's not conclude beyond where we've concluded.
Yeah, I would like to keep all options until the last, to your point, till the decision.
And I can communicate that. I didn't know if the 4 that did not get any votes, if you wanted me to just take them off the table, but clearly not. I will just communicate to them that a decision will be made or likely a decision will be made on Monday.
Yes. And also, and part of this is because I look at this as, we're not done with this process until not only we've made an offer, but we also have an accepted offer. And we know that there are, there's other positions, and it's not always a successful negotiation. And so I don't want us to close any doors. We haven't said this a lot, we've had a great day of interviews. And so let's not kick any of those candidates loose until we're at the end of the process, and we're just not there yet.
Thank you.
Okay.
Is there any additional information you would like from Christina? Would you like me to just let her know that you want her to be available on Monday for the meeting? Is it awkward if she's in that meeting? Are you thinking, do you want this as a special meeting on Monday, or do you want this to just be added to the regular agenda?
Now, it sounds it's a light agenda, so I don't think we have to do a special meeting, but I guess if we don't want her part of that, maybe then it does have to be a special meeting.
Well, I'm just thinking if it's 7, then you're going to have all the people here who would be here for the 7 o'clock meeting. If it's something that you're thinking you would be doing, I don't know, at 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock or whatever that might look like, hypothetically, you may have less people in the room. I don't know if that changes anything. But then, then secondarily, is it a conversation where you would like her to be here for it? Is it a conversation where you would not like her to be here for it? I think she would do whatever you asked.
Personally, I think this is part of the awkwardness that we have of just the nature of inviting our current interim to be part of the process. We have a regular agenda meeting. We have a regular meeting on Monday. I don't see a reason to call a special meeting specific for this topic. It is a lighter agenda. There's nothing that is conflicting or would cause some awkwardness of different audiences. And again, it's an open meeting. So my recommendation, we put it at the top of the agenda on Monday. It is the first thing that we address. Christina is open to be there, just like any other candidate would be open to be here as part of an open meeting. And I have full confidence. She is a professional. She knows exactly the process. She knows, as much as anybody knows the process. And we'll make that decision and continue with the rest of our meeting. And I have confidence in her ability to support that well. Now, I guess I would say if that is uncomfortable for her, I'm open to considering a special meeting. I just can't imagine that's going to be the case.
I genuinely don't know. That's, but,
Maybe find that out, and if she would prefer we do it as part of a special meeting, or okay with it on the.
If that is her preference, let's notice a 6:30 special meeting, and then
Okay.
we'll have a 7 o'clock regular meeting.
okay.
And we're Thursday, so we have a day to, yes, we have time to still get that noticed.
It'll just, yeah, for the special, if it's a special meeting, yes.
I just confirm, Mayor, we are canceling the special meeting tomorrow, correct?
Okay, so what I have that you would like back from Christina is she interested in the permanent position? It would be starting now, not in some future unknown date. And then the salary range that is posted is the salary range that is available. And then confirm if she wants a special meeting or if she's comfortable with this being at the beginning of the regular agenda on Monday. Is there anything else that you want? I don't have a magic ball to know what you guys should do, so it can't be that.
One of my questions
Sorry.
is, how is this information coming back to us? How are we getting that response? And
So-
communication's a two-way street, so we don't necessarily know her timeline, but
Correct.
what are your thoughts?
Right, so I can bring the information to you on Monday and have it at the Monday meeting. I can also send you an email. You cannot reply, obviously, because that's where we get into the closed meeting law issue, but I can send you the one-way communication. So I can send you communication, letting you know if she is interested or if she is not interested. So once I know that answer, again, that could be tonight or tomorrow morning. So you would have that information to know, I guess, what you want to sort of chew on over the weekend.
If she's not, do we do the special meeting to finalize this, or do we finalize this at the 7 o'clock? Want to do a 6:30?
I think we should just plan on doing a 6:30.
Jolene just had a really great suggestion. Do we want a recess for like 5 minutes and I can make a phone call and we can come back?
No.
Okay,
Or not.
got it.
I mean,
It's a terrible suggestion. I don't know why she
No, let's-
suggested it. Jolene, that's awful.
I mean, it's good, I just, I prefer Monday,
I have a question, though. I'm okay supporting the weekend consideration before a final vote. But if we can know in 10 minutes this response, I want to also leave room, communication's two ways, right? I also want to leave room for, actually, as I think about this, it might be a fast answer for Christina. It also may not be. And so for professional respect, this is her job.
put her on the spot like
Let's
that.
not put her on a spot where council is in an open meeting waiting for your response. I do like the expedited option. It may be a fast answer, but let's see if it may not be. Let's give it at least an overnight. It'd be lovely, if there is an answer that we could have tomorrow, I would welcome hearing that from you, Amanda, as soon as you have it.
Okay.
Also recognizing that is a one-way communication to us. It would be good to know just as soon as possible, really what our path looks like, as soon as possible. But let's not put her in the position of literally on YouTube waiting for a response.
Fair.
It does make for good TV, but. Any other logistics? Bart, you're clear on next steps with communication? I guess also, we've had a great day of interviews. So thank you for coordination. Staff, this is, I know it takes a lot of time, it's taken a lot of coordination and effort. So thank you for getting here. We had great candidates travel from, hundreds of miles to come here today to spend the time in Forest Lake. Just thank you to all of them for the great participation, because we really have had a great day, so. And look forward to our next discussion. So we are canceling our special meeting that was scheduled for tomorrow. We will decide tomorrow whether that is a meeting at 6:30 or, I'm sorry, we did decide we are meeting at 6:30 in a special meeting to reconvene this decision. Tonight, do we table, or do we recess and not adjourn?
We did decide that we're doing a special meeting on Monday. I thought we were going to let Christina make that decision.
No,
I
we
think
just, we
I think we
decided.
decided either way, we're going to meet at 6:30.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I must have missed that. I did too. Okay. Okay.
We were probably less than clear.
Different subject. Do we leave all this here then for you, Bart?
Okay, so if you could either leave it there, and I'll just collect it if you leave it at your spots, please. Thank you very much.
Very good. And are we, so do we recess or do we adjourn? We can adjourn, okay. There being no further discussion topics for council to consider this evening, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there a motion? So moved. We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signal by saying aye. Aye. Oppose, and we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.